It's another inspired episode of GoodFatLife.com, and I'm really, really excited about my guest today. But before I introduce her, I'm just going to do a little shameless plug for Good Fat Life magazine. It's a wonderful magazine that you can get at your home and read at your leisure with your favorite beverage, or if you like digital, you can get it online digitally. And at goodfatlife.com, you'll learn all about all the really cool things that are happening. So with that, I would like to introduce, sorry, I'm a little tongue-tied today, my guest, Carolyn LaPan. And she is a functional nutritionist, and full disclosure, she's my functional nutritionist, and I have learned so much from Carolyn, stuff that I thought I knew that I don't really know, has been really mind-boggling and inspired, and so welcome.
Thank you so much, Sherri, for having me.
And you're at Satori, is the name?
SatoriCL.
SatoriCL. And so just tell our listeners quickly, what is a functional nutritionist and why SatoriCL?
Yeah, so a functional nutritionist looks at the whole picture. We don't just look at symptoms. So typically people come to me with symptoms and I tend to back it up. Okay, if you're having, for example, a skin rash, or if you're having digestive issues, or if you're, instead of going to a dermatologist and a gastroenterologist, perhaps it's all stemming from one area. So really the main core focus is nutrition, which includes healthy fats.
Yes, we do.
It has, yeah. So that is definitely a pillar. So we look at nutrition and, genetics, lifestyle, and we look at the whole person and try to get them healthy and back to feeling comfortable and in optimal health.
Yes, and you're brilliant at it.
Thank you.
If I may say so myself. So I've learned, seriously, I've learned so much from you. And Satori?
Yeah, so it's interesting you're using the word learn because I love to educate. And Satori means education and betterment through learning. And so I like to really explain to people what is going on. What does your liver do? A lot of people don't even know that. And so I think once people understand what's going on inside their body, that helps them to make better choices and live a healthier lifestyle. So I really enjoy the education piece. And so that's what Satori means.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So it's aligned, right? And congruent. So today it's the spring solstice. Yes. And with that comes transition. So that's one of the themes for Good Fat Life this year, is how the cycles that we live in, externally with the seasons and the moon, and then internally with, we're born and we go through a life process until we die, and then we have the 24-hour circadian rhythm. And so how does the season change affect us? And we had a time zone change. Right?
Lots of changes
outside of us in a way. I mean, externally and internally, but they still have huge impact. So,
right.
So how does that affect our bodies, and how does nutrition fit into that?
Right. Yeah. So all those external changes, they affect us internally, whether we realize it or not. So a lot of it's on an unconscious level. And when we spoke last time, it was around like eating what's in season and why, because again, it's something you don't realize at the time, but your body is craving, in the winter, potatoes, squash, like onions, those heavier foods. So now that we move into spring, that's changing. So we want to be aware of that adjustment and work with it. So now we're going into papayas and blueberries and mangoes.
Oh, okay. So more fruit.
Yeah. So those types of fruit. And so I had just mentioned the liver a minute ago. So we want to give our liver some love because it was just working a little bit extra in the winter. Okay. It's always working for us. It's a very important part of our body, and we can't live without it. So hence the name, liver.
That's interesting, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So what are some things that we can do to support our liver?
Sure. So eating those lighter foods that I mentioned, and sleep is huge because our liver is repairing from about 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. So there's different types of, like Chinese medicine, for example, looks at the clock when you mentioned circadian rhythm, and different times of the day is focusing on different organs and repair. And so that's one of the things that we could do to help our liver is getting to bed at sleeping, well, at least in bed or resting by 10. Because once you're past that window, there is still some repair going on, but it's kind of moved on to other areas. So
that part's fascinating, isn't it? And how there's no accident. It's not like random. Mm-hmm. It's like every day, within every 24 hours, all of the systems within our body they're going through their process.
It's fascinating.
Of regeneration and repair and energizing and all of that. And if they don't get it, then they are missing out.
Right. Yeah. And you can see, people that work different shifts, there's oftentimes a higher, rate of maybe some health conditions because they're missing out on, if they're not getting, if they're not awake during the day, they're not getting vitamin D, for example, that's just one thing. And so if they're awake all night, then they're missing out on, we are by design supposed to be up when the sun comes up and so
and go to bed when it's dark.
Yeah.
So that was one of the things I was having a conversation with my chiropractor this week, and it was how our bodies are so designed to heal themselves,
yes,
right? To take care of themselves, to heal themselves. And when we understand that, and if we really believe that, there's so many things that we can do to support that really encourage living, we call it a really healthy, good, fat life. Mm-hmm. And what we often do is so much self-sabotage. And then we wonder why we don't feel well and we want a pill.
Right. And the self-sabotage is, so much of it is out of convenience, right? I mean, we just pick up what's quick and it's oftentimes highly processed or sugary, or if we have a craving. But I agree with you that every bite we take, there's a chemical reaction happening in our body. I mean, that's just science. There's no way to dispute that piece. And that if we give our body what it needs and what it's designed for, it can heal. So it's not designed for artificial coloring and, high fructose corn syrup and GMO and all these other, chemicals. So when we have a diet that's full of that, our body recognizes these foreign things in our, stomach and intestines. And as a way to protect us, it will, for lack of a better word, capture the toxins and store it. And that could lead to fat. So that's just another reason why we want to eat healthy as many whole foods as we can. And I get it. It's
So, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
Sure.
We hear this over and over and over, eat healthy foods, exercise. And we hear it so much, it's just like blah, 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 and people glaze over. And so I guess I would ask, what are some things, real things, like lots of people drink a lot of pop, right? It's a huge epidemic in our country, and it's creating all kinds of health issues. So what are some alternatives to drinking pop that people could fall in love with?
Right. Yeah, I actually worked with a client. She was addicted to Diet Coke and all day long.
Lots of people are, right?
And I mean, with this particular one, we just basically, first of all, narrowed down the time. So instead of having it all day, it's like, okay, you can have it, but have it between 1 and 3. So that was the first step. And that worked. And once that worked, it was like, okay. And for her, it was going through the drive-through and getting it. It was ice cold and all this stuff. So once we narrowed down the time, it's like, okay, well, she started to drink it when it was more warm and less appealing. And so just, it's not something that I don't recommend people go cold turkey on things. I mean, if it's something that you enjoy, but it's bad for you, then let's kind of look at the behavior behind it. Like, when is it that you find that you want? Yeah.
Okay.
And narrow down and work on eliminating it. Because if you do it slowly, then it'll last longer. If you just say, okay, I'm going to stop now, and you make it a week or two, but then,
you just
go right back.
There's nothing.
So, yeah.
So what are some other foods that we should be paying attention to for spring?
Okay. So I do have a program, and it includes 2 weeks of meals. So breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and snacks. And so in addition to those things that I mentioned earlier, like the fruits, here I'm just looking as we're talking. So there's vegetables, bootables, there's kale. This comes with radishes. That's a really good spring food. This comes with a shopping list and a recipe book and a meal guide. It also comes with a food diary. So it's really important to document how you're feeling before and after you eat. So, do you feel satisfied when you're done? Do you still feel hungry when you're done? And then it also, again, focuses really on the liver and what is going on. So our liver is responsible for so many things. For example, helping make protein that is involved in blood clots, and it helps make cholesterol required for hormone production, and it metabolizes medications, and so it's constantly working. So this particular list of spring foods that I've mentioned are really helpful in helping the liver function optimally.
So this is kind of like, it's a spring detox, if you will, using food. Mm-hmm. It's not like, exactly. I mean, some detoxes, you just drink a shake.
It's not
for 10 days and nothing else. So this is really just using good foods that are spring friendly and liver friendly.
Spring friendly, healthy fats, quality proteins.
Healthy fats, that's good. Yeah.
And yes, it's not a liquid diet. It's not, I mean, there are smoothies in here because, sometimes, especially spring and summer, a smoothie sounds good. Maybe not so much in the winter, but definitely for spring.
And so where would people find this?
This is on my website.
Okay.
So SatoriCL.com can be found. And it includes, videos. I educate people on the program and have a FAQ section and things like that. So it's not just, here's a list of recipes. Good luck. It's explaining the reason why these were handpicked.
Okay. So. All right. So that's awesome. And can we put that on our website as well?
Of course.
Okay.
Yes,
all right.
I'd love to.
That's cool. And then one thing I also wanted to bring up that I've found really excited about working with you is the testing that you do. Mm-hmm. And so, it's no secret. I'm in an older part of my life, and I don't know what my hormones are doing right now. And so you've got a test for me to check out all my hormones so that you can help me with my food choices that support this phase of my life.
Yes.
And that's exciting, but we just don't know where to go or what to do or what questions to ask. And so I love that you provide that service and information.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love the data that's provided. So, I mean, first and foremost, looking at the person and what they're reporting and how they're feeling. And then secondarily, testing to support, the work that we're doing. So, yes, so that particular test looks at hormones, so progesterone, estrogen, cortisol, insulin, all of those. And everyone, but especially women, we go through so many changes.
In our birth to death cycle,
Yes,
right?
Yes, so many. So it's good to know kind of where we're at, and if there's things that are not balanced, then we can address that oftentimes through food. So and lifestyle.
And is that something, are there those kinds of tests something that you would do during different seasons of the year, or does it matter?
That particular one could be anytime.
Okay.
Yeah. So there are, for that one, I would say really any time of the year. And then the other one around digestion also could be around any time of the year. That one looks at, viruses, parasites, bacteria, things like that. So I think that could be beneficial.
Was fascinating too, right? I learned a lot.
Right.
Well, great, Carolyn. It's been so fun having you, and I always learn stuff, and I'm inspired to eat better, if you will, and I won't say even better, to eat differently, because you've given me some really wonderful recipes and things that I can do, little changes that I can make to my eating. Like now I always loved eating an egg for breakfast, and now I throw in lentils.
Yeah.
Or garbanzo beans. And it's delicious. I mean, there's things that are delicious that I just never would have thought of, but yet they change the nutrition, right?
Yeah. Oh, that makes me happy. Yeah, there's certainly so many ways you can sneak in, new foods, healthy foods, and, feel energized and more balanced through the day. So that makes me happy.
Yeah. And things that are just there, but that I never would have thought about. So, and you've given me a whole plethora of them. So on that happy note, I want to do a really quick shout out for one of our sponsors. So as I was on my way over here today, I was listening on 1A on NPR, and they were talking about fast fashion. And it is mind-boggling, the cost to our planet, to our society, to just humankind of fast fashion. And now they're saying that the average person throws away every single person in the United States throws away 80 pounds of clothing a year. And it used to be that there were, in the 90s, like 4 or 5 seasons a year at the most. And now there's like 51.
Oh my gosh.
It is, it's craziness. But the reason that I want to shout out the sponsor as well is Snedicor's Cleaners. And they do a beautiful job of taking care of your timeless pieces. So I'm more of a person who likes to buy something. I buy great quality, but it lasts me. I still have things that I was wearing in my 20s, which was a long time ago. But I know that Snedicor's Cleaners will take amazing care of it, and my pieces just keep coming back looking great. And I really appreciate that commitment to quality. And also it makes me feel good knowing that I'm not contributing to the landfills or and all the socioeconomic problems that these fast fashions mills are creating. So thank you to Snedicor's Cleaners. So on that happy note, again, you can find you at Satori.com.
SatoriCL.com.
SatoriCL.com, and we will put your diet and information on our website as well, and the information on how people could get a hold of you if they're interested in having some additional testing and counseling and all that goes with that.
Sounds great. Thank you.
So, all right. So let's go out and live our good